Hi, I made this guide. This guide shows the 4 yoga poses that I do daily that help me with my scoliosis, just managing, feeling good with my spinal fusion to get things moving. So this guide has some pictures and it has some descriptions, but I'm going to demonstrate these poses for you today. 3 of these I do within 10 minutes of waking up in the morning. And if I have a really early morning, it's like really quick. So this may seem like this could be a lot of time to add into your morning, but honestly, it's not. The idea is to incorporate more movements throughout the day in any way possible to feel better and not start getting stuck in the body. And let's get started. The first one is a half forward fold. And like I said, 2 of these I'll do in the morning in the bathroom, and then 1 I'll do outside in my bedroom floor. So I'm not filming in my bathroom, so I'm using a stool to mimic like a countertop. But this half forward fold, it can be done at the wall, a table, a countertop, wherever it works for you. It's a nice pose to find the length through the spine. And whenever we're moving forward, we're not flexing through the spine, but finding a nice hinge at the hip to keep a nice lengthening throughout the spine. This also gives a really nice sensation of lengthening the side body, lifting the rib cage away from the pelvis. So with age, with gravity, we tend to lose disc space and feel more compressed. And also with scoliosis, one side may feel more compressed than the other. So little things to create length throughout the day are so wonderful. So for this, the nice thing about a countertop or a stool is that my hands are very level with each other. And I can either press into a wall or press down into a counter. I'm hinging at the hip, keeping my spine long, keeping my head in line with the spine. Walk your feet back until your feet are underneath your hips. So if I go ahead and straighten through my legs right away, especially first thing in the morning, if the legs are tight, you're gonna round through the back. So keep the knees soft and focus on lengthening through the spine, reaching your arms forward as you're reaching the thighs and the sitting bones back in space. And the front body is going to want to just kind of sag to the floor. So we're keeping the front body engaged, keeping those front ribs drawn together and supporting the back body. So you can imagine the rib cage here lifting away from the pelvis, creating all this space. And take a nice breath here, breathing into the front ribs, the back ribs, the side ribs, just breathing all around. And to come out, you can walk your feet toward your counter, your wall, and come up to stand. Very brave. The next one we will do is called shoulder flossing. So during the day, let's say like I'm teaching, I'll be using the yoga strap. But for the morning, I really like a TheraBand. It has lots of give in it. You can get ones that are super stretchy. And I leave this in my bathroom. So after I do that previous stretch, I'll grab this. And I do not keep a yoga block in my bathroom, but I'm going to show you with the yoga block. So for this one, as we lift the arms, what can happen is that if we do not have a good range of motion in the shoulder yet, we might be compensating by pushing the pelvis forward and back. So to counter that, you could practice this by placing a block between the thighs to keep the pelvis stable, to feel like you can remain centered. And you can also sit, because sometimes there's just enough to think about. So if we're sitting, we can think of really keeping that stacking of the shoulders, the rib cage over the pelvis. So you're standing in both feet pretty evenly, you know, we tend to favor one side. So connecting into the 4 corners of each foot, those toes are not gripping, holding onto that block. And you can take your TheraBand or your strap And be generous, especially first thing in the morning. Let yourself have lots of space. And you're going to lift those arms up. So this is nice for the shoulders, and this is also nice for finding that length that we talked about. So as you inhale and reach the arms up, get a sense of lifting through that rib cage, making space between the rib cage and the low back. And as you exhale and lower, think of maintaining that lift that you created. So gaze forward at your horizon when you're doing this. And when you're lifting the arms up, really pay attention to the low back. Is it pushing forward? Are these front ribs pushing forward? Because if you feel that, then that means that that's a good point to stop and just work on your shoulder motion there. So your arms may come up in front of your face. Maybe over time you'll lift the arms up and back. So I've been doing this every day for over 11 years. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, my shoulders don't do that, please don't compare yourself to me. It's these little things that we can do every day that can make a big difference. So this could be seated, and this feels really nice. Most of us tend to do a lot of computer work and typing and driving, childcare, whatever it may be, and we just round through the shoulders. And with scoliosis, many of us have a shoulder that likes to live in that rounded position. So this is nice for keeping the shoulders mobile and opening the chest. So from here, we're going to come into a nice breathing exercise. The third exercise is really just a breathing exercise here. And for this one, I use the Gorgeous ball from Jill Miller. And I honestly owned this ball for 1 year, 2 years, I don't remember, and I didn't use it because I felt like it hurt, and I just realized I really needed to deflate it a lot more. So you may be wondering, like, what kind of ball is that? So when you get this ball, if you order one, it's completely deflated and it comes with a straw. You add as much air as you like. So I would suggest starting it with it super deflated. So this is to work the soft tissue in the abdomen. So it's good for the health of your lymphatic fluids. It's good for breathing. It can be good if you have some kind of scar tissue in this area. And I like to practice this in the morning because you wake up, you don't have food and water and so forth in your stomach. So once you start eating and getting through the day, this might not feel comfortable to do. So a very good reason to have this in the morning. So if you do not feel comfortable lying on your belly, skip this one or give this a try. I never sleep on my stomach. I'm not normally on my stomach. For some people, being on their stomach can pull on the low back, but since this is going to be in your abdominal area, maybe this feels okay. So it's a little difficult to do this and talk, but basically using these kind of tools is really just trial and error for yourself, like just feeling like where it feels comfortable. And the idea is to get to a point where you can breathe and feel comfortable, and that can be calming to the nervous system. So when I come onto the ball, as I breathe in, my belly is going to be expanding into the ball. And then as I exhale and the abdominal area moves in, I'm thinking of just releasing and allowing that ball to press in toward my abdomen. And then I'll move to one side and then the other. So it's just like a really nice abdominal massage. Coming down onto my belly. I'll rest my head to one side or rest my head and forehead on my hands. Take a few rocks side to side.
And then breathing through the nose, breathing into that ball. And then exhale, allowing the abdominal area to soften. So maybe a few breaths that way. And then to move the ball into the right side of my abdomen, I'll take my left knee up to the side, kind of rest onto the side of the ball. And this can be a nice way to start using the ball, is to not be focusing the ball on the center of your abdomen, but just on the side. So kind of like pushes your abdominal area to the side. And then doing the same thing other side. Bending through the other knee, moving the ball into the left side of my abdomen. And then to come out, never taking a roll up or a roll down, but rolling to my side and pushing myself on up. That felt nice. And the final posture that I'm going to share is a downward dog in traction using the pelvic swing. This is a pelvic swing with door loops, and I have extra latches on my door to make sure that the door does not move as I put weight into the sling and move forward. This pose can be active, it can be passive, you can not stretch the arms, you can rest the head. There's many variations here, and this feels really nice. I will demonstrate coming in to this pose, first using a chair. So I'm bringing this pelvic swing just below my frontal hip points. I don't want it to slide up because as I move forward into this pose, I don't want to be folding at my waist. Always folding at the hips, allow the length for the spine. And the nice thing about this pelvic swing is it's giving me some feedback of equally applying pressure to both sides of the pelvis. I can push my feet back into the wall. I know that my feet are even, my hands can be on the chair or the blocks, and I can see that they're even trying to find a good midline for my body. So to come into this, I'm putting my hands on these frontal hip points, bending through my knees, hinging forward, coming into half forward fold, hands on the chair, spine is long. And right here, I'm very, very supported by this pelvic swing. Feels very nice. And I'm going to take my chair forward, holding the corners of the chair as I take my feet back toward the wall. And my feet can press into the wall, and I can reach my arms forward, lengthening my upper back. The pelvis is holding my pelvis. And in this position, I'm really supported, so the pressure in my arms, my wrist, my shoulders is very light. And I can focus on breathing into the expansiveness of my spine, of my rib cage, or focus breathing on areas where I have my concavities. So the hands may stay in a chair, maybe over time, to try something different, like the hands on blocks. Could even have blocks supported for the head. And to come out, I'm going to come out maintaining this length that I've created, so the hands can be on blocks, walking forward to that half forward fold, or bringing that chair back in. So my hands are under the shoulders. And finding a long spine here, so I'm using my muscles to hold myself up here, lengthening through the crown of the head forward. And then I can take one hand to my hip, other hand to my hip, and press into both feet as I lift the spine to come up to stand. So that is using my pelvic swing. So I hope that you found at least one of these poses really intriguing and that you would like to incorporate into your daily activities. Let me know how you feel and if you have any questions. Thank you.